All right, today we're diving into a story that's absolutely critical to our planet's health, the story of our forests. And it's a story with two very different sides. A tale of some pretty staggering loss, but also one of incredible resilience and hope. So let's get into it. This isn't some new age idea. This connection between healthy forests and, well, thriving societies is ancient. This quote just nails it, doesn't it? It shows this fundamental truth that our own prosperity has always been tied to the well-being of our forests. It really sets the stage for everything we're about to talk about.
So when we say forest, what are we really talking about? I mean, it's so much more than just a bunch of trees, right? Think of it as a living, breathing, complex ecosystem. It's basically Earth's life support system, giving us the very air we need to breathe and the clean water we drink.
And the benefits we get from them are incredibly real and part of our everyday lives. We're talking fuel wood for cooking, timber for our homes, fruits, gums, fibers, the list goes on. Forests are this amazing natural pharmacy, a source of powerful medicines, and they provide the raw materials that fuel countless industries. They're a direct lifeline for so many communities and a total cornerstone of the global economy.
Okay, so that's the beautiful, life-giving picture. But it's in really sharp contrast with what's actually happening on the ground. We are facing a massive crisis of deforestation, and this incredible inheritance we have is just dwindling at a pretty terrifying rate.
Just let this number sink in for a second. In just 100 years, India's forest cover plummeted from about a third of its landmass down to just over 10%. Now, this isn't some slow, gradual change we're talking about. It is a dramatic, almost free-fall collapse that really shows you the sheer speed and scale of the problem.
So you gotta ask, why is this happening? Well, it really boils down to this fundamental conflict of interest. On one side, you've got the really pressing needs for development. Timber for building things, mining for minerals, big dams for power and water. And on the other side, you've got these essential ecological needs, preserving habitats, conserving our soil and water, and protecting the livelihoods of tribal communities who've depended on these forests for generations.
So let's break down where that pressure comes from. For a long time, a major driver has been timber extraction. The huge demand for wood in construction and for making paper led to all this unsustainable logging. And it's not just about removing the trees themselves, it's about ripping open the forest canopy, which basically wrecks the entire sensitive habitat that lives in its shade.
And you see a really similar conflict when it comes to mining. It's just an unlucky fact of geology that a lot of rich mineral deposits are buried right underneath these same forest lands. So to get to them, huge areas of forest are just cleared away, leading to habitat destruction that's pretty much irreversible. The impact of these massive dams is just as huge. Sure, they provide critical power and water, but they can come at a devastating environmental price. They literally drown enormous stretches of forest, and in doing so, they displace thousands of tribal people whose entire lives are woven into that land.
But, and this is a really important but, the story doesn't just end there. Sometime in the late 20th century, a really crucial shift in thinking started to happen. People began to realize that the long-term value of a forest, the clean water, the stable soil, was way more valuable than the short-term cash you could get from cutting it down. This was a total turning point.
And this new way of thinking actually got turned into policy. The Forest Conservation Act of 1980 was a landmark piece of legislation. Its whole purpose was simple but super powerful, to basically put the brakes on the easy conversion of forest land for development projects. From then on, if you wanted to divert forest land, you needed strict approval from the central government.
But laws on their own aren't always enough. The most powerful and honestly the most effective solution came from a totally different direction. Empowering the very people who live in and around the forests to become their main protectors.
This whole approach was formalized into a program called Joint Forest Management, or JFM for short. The idea behind it is just brilliant in its simplicity. Create a real partnership. You have the government's forest department working hand in hand with local communities to manage and protect their local forests together.
So how does it actually work on the ground? Well, it starts with local people forming their own village forest committees. These committees then take on the job of protecting the forest and helping to bring degraded areas back to life. And here's the absolute key. In return for their work, the community gets to share in the benefits, like collecting non-wood products and even getting a piece of the revenue from sustainably harvested timber. It gives them a real stake in the game.
And has it worked? Oh yeah. The scale of this is just astounding.
We're talking about over 63,000 local committees, actively managing more than 140,000 square kilometers of forest. To put that in perspective, that's an area bigger than the entire country of Greece. This proves that community-led conservation isn't just some nice idea. It's a massive, scalable, and really effective solution.
So this brings the whole story right back to us. Because government policies and community programs, as amazing as they are, they need the support of all of us. Conservation is a responsibility that really lands on all of our shoulders.
And that's a totally fair question, right? It can feel like this huge, distant problem, but individual actions, when you multiply them by millions of people, create incredibly powerful change.
So here are a few really powerful choices we can all make. It starts with just reducing our own forest footprint, being more conscious of paper and wood use, maybe avoiding furniture that's made from threatened tropical hardwoods. We can vote with our wallets every day by choosing products with less packaging, and we can bring the solution right to our backyards by getting involved in local tree planting and conservation efforts.
And that leaves us with the ultimate question, doesn't it? This is really the challenge that's going to define our time. Finding this balance. It isn't just an environmental issue. It's about making sure we have a prosperous and stable future for all the generations that come after us. The answer we choose will literally write the next chapter for our planet. Thanks for watching.